What's up, Starcraft fans? Last time we did Stukov with bunkers and siege tanks. This time, we'll do Dehaka. When I made the thumbnail for these videos, I actually forgot that Dehaka had impalers. Oh my goodness. In my defense, there were like 15 commanders who had static defense. I had to count, I had to check who had unique ones. I thought that Dehaka only had Primal hosts and creeper hosts, which I think wouldn't hold up in a match on their own. They would get overrun and there's no way I'd complete the mission. But then, oh yeah, Primal impalers probably would seal the early game because the Primal hosts and Primal or the creeper hosts are mid game to late game units. And if I had something in the early game that was all static defense that was decent, I could probably do Dehaka. And now the Primal Impalers, like, hey, we're over here. So yeah, okay, let's do Dehaka. So, my prestigious Primal contender says I actually want to make Glevig stronger. Glevig is also static. He's literally rooted in the ground, so we'll count him. Mervar cannot burrow, so we do not count Mervar. The Krun obviously does not count. My masteries are Devour Heal Increase, because I want to keep Dehaka alive. He's basically the tank, the lizard tank. I believe I went for Pack Leader Active Duration, so that Glevig would be available longer, and Dehaka Slapping Speed. Oh no, I believe I went for Gene Mutation Chance. So anyway, let's get to it. Once again, we find ourselves in the Maguro map of Temple of the Past. I selected the Maguro map so I can select the enemy composition, which will be Ground Zerg, Roach Zerg, and the hybrid pattern will be Ground Hybrid. So I'll have the double waves at 9 minutes, I'll have the drop pods at 15, no, not 15. I'll have the transports at 15, there we go. Anyway, build is nothing strange, nothing out of the ordinary. I start my Primal barracks directly at the rocks at the expansion so I can break it more easily. At 1 minute, that's where I will differ. Normally I go for the leap and the Devour Dehaka. I changed it this time into the healing and the yelly thing. Dehaka will not be my damage dealer for this game. He will be basically a tank and support and a healer for my army. So I actually went for a buffing set of skills rather than an attacking set of skills. We'll see how this plays out. Well, you will see. I've already seen how this plays out. Actually, it took me several tries on this one. Dehaka is low-key difficult if you want to keep your guys alive and only use creeper hosts and the impalers on this map. And also, of course, staying alive is one thing and keeping the temple at perfect health is another, because Dehaka can only be at one place at one time. Of course, I have to resort to a bit of rock slapping here, not a bit, a lot of rock slapping here, because I do not want Dehaka to deal a lot of damage to enemies. I'd rather have him just slap rocks. This is not how I normally play. I don't even endorse this way unless you have a specific reason for doing so. My specific reason for doing so is because I don't want Dehaka to have a lot of damage at the end. I'm stat padding for my units, basically. We have 4 guys in the gas here as usual. It's a far gas. So is this gas. This gas is also far. So we want 4 workers here. Now we have Dehaka out here in the center. He's gonna be just a giant bait. He's basically bait. Now that Glevig is completed, I start 2 Primal Hydralisks, the Tenderize upgrade and the +1 attack upgrade for my impalers and my units. Meanwhile, Dehaka is just out here drawing fire from these roaches to make sure that they don't go in while I have nothing to defend. If they just ignore Dehaka and go for the rocks and go straight for the temple, I actually have nothing to defend them. Well, aside from Dehaka himself, I'll be forced to use Dehaka offensively. But right now, I'm just letting them chase Dehaka around into a corner while I wait out the charges to get myself an impaler before the first wave actually hits. Now 420 that's actually 10 seconds away from the second wave. And that's the power of just drawing enemies using your hero, making your hero a massive tank. And of course, using the yelly thing to slow them even more. To afford myself a second impaler, which will get into place and deal several tons of damage. The tenderized upgrade is completed for the impalers, and that will deal damage over time to these roaches. You can see that they don't need a third shot, they only need 2 shots to get obliterated by my impalers. Now you can see in this next wave still does not have an overseer, because the first wave actually was not attacked, or was not attacked before the second wave was spawned. That's why there was no overseer there. So Glevig, I use him to break the rocks because more damage for the static defense is good for the static defense. A little bit of stat padding never hurt anyone. Now that that's done, I sent the unit that spawned with Glevig into this area to give vision, so I can spawn this primal worm and Glevig relocate just here to delete that wave, as well as this hatchery. Deleting this hatchery will prevent the enemy from building more static defense along this path and give my units an easier time clearing out. We snipe all the creep tumors and drones that we can, try to make sure that none of them survive. Meanwhile, I have more impalers. This is the 4th impaler that's making. Mervar's Den almost done. Mervar's Den will allow me to unlock the primal host and the creeper host that they can morph into. So 5th impaler on the way. Impaler is of course morphed by having these 2 hydralisks perform primal combat. And the impalers, you can see they shoot ground units. They attack ground units only when they're burrowed. When they're unburrowed, they can move, but they cannot. So basically, they're siege tanks that actually can't shoot when they're mobile. So they either have a mobility or an attack option. But they deal tremendous damage to ground. I believe it's like, well, I actually don't remember the exact numbers. They deal a lot of damage, so much damage. Look at it, one-shotting those zerglings. Of course, the drawback is, unlike lurkers, they deal 1 attack, or they shoot once per attack. They're single target forces. First creeper host is on the way. I have, as you can see, morphed a primal host first and let its, well, primal locusts just damage that area. So now I do a little bit of tricky maneuver here. I break these rocks first and let my forces defend this area offensively. I defend this area offensively because at 9 minutes there will be attack waves from 2 separate sides converging on the temple. So I would rather meet one at a time and then go back to the other to allow me to use all of my forces for the defense rather than having to split them up. You know what they say, united we stand and divided Aemon sucks. I believe that's how it goes. You can see these impalers doing work and these creeper hosts finishing them off, and now Glevig has spawned on the side. I did time that exactly so that I was able to use Glevig on the 10-minute wave. So once again, I send my units here offensively. I use 2 worms to help break down this hive. Again, I do not want this hive to produce workers and units that will block this approach. I want this approach clear later on. So I cleared out the hive, the one that produces all those units and structures there. Of course, I want to use the fire attack here to make this not a thing. I retreat the greater primal worms so that they don't actually die. The cooldown of Glevig actually allowed me to, the timing of my use of Glevig allowed me to actually use him on the 10-minute prong on the southeast corner with the hybrid. There were a few leftovers here, but my units are more than enough to clean them up. And now there will be another attack wave, the 11-minute attack wave coming in to one side, which is why I'm moving my forces here, trying to intercept that. I slow them down using the Dehaka. And you can see more creeper hosts or more creepers flying in, deleting these guys. Just burrow right there. Again, Dehaka, the meat shield, and the healer. He's basically a support guy, a support hero. Attack wave coming in. I let them shoot the Dehaka and ultimately take him down. That is preferable to my actual base going down. The Dehaka out once again. Creeper hosts have made it back. I was able to eat that Overseer just to extend the life of the Dehaka a little bit. Ground, remember, biological units heal more health of the Dehaka when he devours them. Of course, we want to finish off these these lurkers before they finish off my Glevig's den. Just in time to move to this area, the southwest, where the next wave will spawn. More impalers on the way. I moved 3 impalers to the spot over here. These plates here will spawn a void thrasher at 1337. So I actually want to have stuff ready in place to receive that thrasher and make it not shoot the temple. Again, the Dehaka is the bait. He's a very good debater, guys. Not one single unit among these impalers have died, even though they're not exactly the most durable units. They have 300 health, yes, but when they can be focused down. You can see I have this worm here, and this forward impaler just drawing aggro from that thrasher. Meanwhile, attack wave again. Dehaka using the yelly thing to slow them down, and his massive frame to draw aggro from those guys worked perfectly. Now that wave is done. You can see I'm trying to push forward. I still have not cleared the hive here. I've cleared the hive on the northwest. I've yet to clear the hive on the southeast. And that's what these lurkers are for. These guys are here to clean out this side of the map. Meanwhile, my forces are relocating to this area because the next attack wave will come in via transports. Oop, we do not want those locusts wasting themselves on rocks. We want these locusts to first and foremost take out the air hybrid, because as I mentioned earlier, the impalers cannot attack air units, so I want the creepers to first use themselves up on the hybrid rather than the units themselves, because the units are ground, they can be cleaned up by my impalers. 27, this guy's 27 kills, my goodness. 25, pretty good. Another round of impalers. Dehaka used the yelly thing to slow them down. Meanwhile, my excess creepers are cleaning house. These guys are all low health. They will get cleaned. Well, not all of them. Well, now they are. Will get cleaned out by my impalers. I have burrowed my swarm hosts or my creeper hosts so that they won't be able to get damaged by the enemy. By the way, these guys here are still pushing. They have cleared out the hive at the southeast corner. That's really nice. By the way, how I determine whether I count a unit here or not is, my idea of static defense is when you're playing a mutation and you're on the offensive side, you're clearing up with your army. You want to have something back home that you can use to defend your base despite F2ing the rest of your army. That for me is what counts as static defense. If you have siege tanks, siege stuff at home, they are part of your army, but they will not move out of position when you do F2, when you select your all army hotkey. That's how I count them. The Mervar does not count because if you do F2, of course Mervar will move out of position, but these creeper hosts, when you burrow them and you do F2, they will not move. That's why I do count them. 18-minute wave will come on this side. These creepers have one job: to snipe the hybrid dominator, because that is the most dangerous unit on this entire wave. Not quite able to finish him off, but he is down to half health. Now what these impalers have to do is finish it off. And now that it's gone, I just relocate. Clean out this area. Meanwhile, Glevig has moved to the other side. He is strong enough to clean out this whole attack wave on his own, while the lurkers out here delete that entire base. Glevig's really good. Glevig is really good. My goodness. Look at that. Those roaches and hydralisks just getting barbecued like they're nothing. Just like that. All on one cooldown. That's really impressive. And now I'm maxed out as Dehaka. I'm ready to receive the next wave, which will once again be drops. These locusts are ready, flying in, ready to kamikaze themselves into the overlords. Make sure they're not a thing. There we go. And the rest, we'll just clean out these guys over here. That ain't no thing. Attack wave will come in from this southwest corner, while the drop pods rain in from above. You can see I'm using my primal barracks as kind of meat shields, so that my units stay alive, because I don't have stats. I don't compare stats on my infrastructure survivability. I have stats on static defense survivability, so I can actually kind of cheat a little bit by using my production as kind of walls for my army. Which is strange, but that's how it works. Creepers cleaning out this base right here, or this attack right here. Meanwhile, the impalers do clean the other side. I believe I used Dehaka to devour the overseer. There's always an overseer that drops here, or some form of detection. And by devouring that, I actually allowed all my forces to survive unscathed. I even have workers here to draw aggro, just to draw fire from the enemy. Now one more. Enemies coming down here. There are two overseers this time. I eat both of them, so that the enemies no longer are able to attack the impalers, and they have impunity over this area. So the last attack wave will be, or the last set of thrashers will be tricky, because with Primal Contender, I can only be at one place at one time with my top bars and heroes. So I have opted to have these lurkers, 3 of them, just stall this attack wave. Meanwhile, the rest of my army will try to win this side on their own. So how I intend to do that is, of course, I will devour the detection, stomp on them, weaken them severely, and then deep sunk to the other side. Or rather, use Glevig, summon Glevig, so that my impalers can shoot this thrasher over here, while the rest are being taken care of by Glevig. Glevig is really good. The thrasher was able to get a shot off. You can see my impalers were just barely not able to get to in position in time, but that's fine. 8 damage is. I've tried. I've had many different attempts on this game. I would rather let the 8 damage go than try to do it again with full health. I've had enough attempts, I think. Maybe I don't, but I think I've had enough attempts. A few more will get cleaned out by my impalers, impaling all these enemies right here. Another round of creepers will clean out that guy. Meanwhile, these guys, the impalers and the primal host or creeper host, moving back to defend the most dangerous wave. I do think this is the most dangerous wave because it has so many units and so many hybrids. I was actually forced to eat that big hybrid right there, the hybrid behemoth, because I actually do not want it to Yamato my forces. My forces are susceptible to getting Yamatoed. The hybrid Yamato, the plasma blast deals insane damage. So I'd rather eat the big hybrid than have it shoot my forces. Primal hosts cleaning house. Dehaka just mopping up the rest using Devour. You can see these drones just tanking, not quite enough. One Impaler does go down, others get fungled, and revealing them, they now take damage. This barracks falling. I have a few more wurms, just barely not able to prevent the enemy from damaging the temple. I move my last forces here, just to kind of clean out the waves faster before they damage the temple even more. So 2873, not the best defensive performance, but I would say for Dehaka, and considering I wanted to maximize the damage of my forces, I think it's acceptable. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's acceptable. Hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for watching. If you have an idea for what else, could you please leave it in the comment. Score screen, we have for Dehaka. By the way, one of you did note last time that I did lose a bunker. Thank you for that. I did lose a bunker, so wait, I did already put down the bunker. Wait, I made 13 bunker. Okay, 12. Let's say 12 survived. Okay, there we go. Down to 96.1. 85% of you liked Stukov's static defense. So now he is, well, I'm not gonna say what rank he is. Some of you did notice that not all commanders are here, and that's for a specific reason. So, damage-wise, Impalers, 39%. Glevig, I do count Glevig himself because he is rooted to the ground, 21%. Primal Zergling and Primal Zerglings do not count. Primal Arms do count, 3.5%. Explosive Creeper, 22.5%. I did not use Mervar here, so all the explosive creepers here are from creeper hosts, so I do count those. The Krun does not count. Alright, 86.1%. I would say this is respectable. It's kind of among the lowest here. Kerrigan lower, Zagara lower, but 86 is kind of low, but I would say it's acceptable considering the Impalers and creeper hosts can be kind of brittle when you need sustained damage and you don't want Dehaka to be your primary damage dealer. Temple health, you can see it's 2873 out of 3000. That's 95.8% survival rate. Not as bad as Zagara, but not perfect. Now for the survival. I don't actually have the numbers on how many creeper hosts I was able to make. I don't believe I lost any creeper hosts, so how many did I make? It says here I have 10 creeper hosts and 31 impalers remaining. Alright. So that's 13. I'm sorry, 10 impalers survived? Oh wait, let me do this. 10 impalers survived. Alright, 10 creeper survived. I had 32. Sorry, yeah, 10 creeper hosts survived, 32 impalers survived. Primal Worm, I don't believe I actually lost this many greater primal worms. Most of them just timed out. I don't know how many greater primal worms I actually lost. Can you guys count for me? Let's say I had 9 survive, or not 9 survive. I don't think I lost any actual primal worms. I just kind of deep tunneled them back to stage 2. I think I did lose a couple at the end. Yeah, I did lose a couple at the end. Alright, let's put 9 here. I think it's Glevig. I didn't lose Glevig. He just timed out every time. Let's just not count Glevig. It'll just muddy our math. And then for the total units made, I made. Okay, I don't actually know how many. Oh wait, I made 10 creeper hosts. I didn't lose any creeper hosts as far as I know. I made 35 impalers. Let's add that. And I made 11 greater primal worms. 91.1%. That's not bad. 8.20 for Dehaka. He definitely will not top the list of best static defense, but it's pretty good depending on how you vote. Guys, a poll will go up tomorrow asking you whether you like Dehaka's creeper hosts and primal hosts and impalers and worms relative to other co-op static defense? Oh, Glevig also. Please answer that. I will see you guys next time.